Packers looking to end a 2-game losing streak at home, which is disappointing because I thought they could maybe reestablish a home field advantage this year, but that's for naught.
No, you didn't.
I did. We talked about it at length on this show.
But aren't you the Lambeau mystique doesn't exist anymore guy?
To me, like, mystique. The only reason any mystique exists inside of any place is because of the players currently playing. Like Chewy talked about all the time of they knew before the game even started at Lambeau that they would win because they were a dominant team. They were a great team.
Really good team.
And that's the only way you actually have home field advantage is like you have that mentality when you're at home, right? And I thought the way they played the first 2 games against Detroit, against Washington, I thought, okay, this could potentially be a really good team with a great defense, and that's how you make Lambeau Field a place. And Lambeau was rocking, too, right? Like, when you're playing that well, Lambeau gets rocking the way it was the first couple of games. Okay, this is going to be a true home field advantage. And now that's you lose to Carolina at home. And
I think that's out the window.
That goes out the window. But do you guys agree with the question that I asked Jason about, has anybody else shown you growth at that wide receiver position? Because it's a position that we have talked about a lot over the last 2 years. Going into last year, well, I mean, they're just so deep there. Somebody's going to emerge. Nobody emerges.
Yeah.
You think that maybe Jaden Reed's about to, and then he disappears for the final 6 games.
Yeah.
And so you come into this year, you add Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. I don't think we can talk about their growth as rookies, right? That growth happens certainly over time. I'm talking about the guys that have been here for at least 2 years, and because you hear people talk about all the time, that year 2 to 3 jump that people can make, that players can make. And I feel like the criticisms that we've had of some of the receivers that can be fixed, right? Like, as much as I wish Romeo Doubs would be faster, he can't fix that. That's just, the speed is what the speed is at this point. But for Christian Watson, when he initially came in, man, he's this big guy. What if he won some jump balls? And he's been more competitive on those jump ball situations. Because like Homer and I feel like we joked a couple of times when I was doing Green Bay Game Night with Homer that you throw one up to Christian Watson, it's not a 50-50 ball. It's like an 80-20 ball the other way. Because he was just uncompetitive in those situations. And that has completely changed.
Totally.
Now, do I wish his ball tracking skills was a little bit better? Yes. And then you don't have the situation where he's trying to defend and the ball hits the back of his helmet.
Do I want Christian Watson to be Devontae Adams? Yes, I do.
Yeah, but it's a completely different skill set, right? And I feel like we've seen that growth of him being more physical, him being more competitive in those jump ball situations, him learning how to use his body to kind of shield defenders off of him and be able to make some of those catches. I keep going back to the touchdown that he caught to win the game against the Giants. I get 2 years ago, I don't think he makes that catch.
I don't know if 2 years ago Love makes that throw.
Well, that was just outside of Toyotathon, so correct. He wouldn't have made that throw at that time 2 years ago.
Excuse me. Yes, you're right. Yeah, look, I thought it was a really interesting question by you in the way in which you phrased it, because I thought you were just going to go simply with the question I think we all would say yes to, which is, has Christian Watson proven he's the most complete receiver on this team? I think since he's returned from that ACL injury, the answer's been yes. I think he's been a rock star in the 4 games he's played this year, dating back to that win at Pittsburgh. Now, the part about that question that I'm hung up on, where I can't give you a total firm yes, is the what-if part with Jaden Reed. Because I thought he had a very nice start to the season, albeit a game and a quarter against Detroit and getting hurt early against Washington in week 2.
Three catches for 45 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, so I'd like to see what he is when he gets back, because obviously when you are missing the leading receiver for your team each of the last 2 years, well, that's going to be a hard question, or a harder question to answer.
And he was attempting to play through a foot injury which
is now fixed. Packers to the bowl,
maybe he shouldn't have tried to play through.
Probably not.
But that had nothing to do with him getting his shoulder injury. Those were two just completely separate situations.
He's a tough SOB, is what that means.
I think we learned that.
Very tough man. I am really intrigued to see when they open that 21-day window. I was hopeful it would be this week. And
he was hopeful it was going to be this week.
I mean, tweeting pictures of himself getting all fired up. Yeah. So when he returns, I'm really intrigued to see what the first 3 or 4 weeks for him look like. But to answer your question as it stands on November 21st, the answer is yes, Christian Watson is the only one who seemingly has made a significant jump. Not just a marginal, okay, yeah, he's a little bit better. He looks more like a vet now. Christian Watson looks like a true number one receiver each of the last 4 weeks, and that's only on 4 or 5 targets every week. If he starts getting the opportunity and the looks that a guy like Romeo Doubs gets, 8 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets a week, I think we're having a very different conversation about Christian Watson than even the one we're having today. But what we've seen through 4 games back for Christian Watson looks like he could be that guy who ultimately gets the first long-term extension. I know he got the year extension before he returned from the ACL, so you will have him and Reed and Wicks and Golden and Williams all under contract in 2026. But he could be the guy, or next year when they're picking between those 3, Wicks, Reed, and Watson, he's the one that's getting the long-term deal.
Yeah, I see the growth out of him, we've been waiting for that out of anybody. Oh, someone's going to emerge. Well, he's emerging. And when you see that, again, I feel like this is almost a weekly thing at this point where, okay, do we have to be giving Romeo Doubs this many targets?
Well,
do we have to be throwing the ball the way? And I don't think this is, by the way, just a Matt LaFleur thing. I think this is a Jordan Love thing where he trusts Romeo implicitly in situations, because there have been a few times where I've gone back and watched games and you see somebody like Matthew Golden running a similar route, an in-breaking route, and the ball just doesn't come out on time, or, maybe that guy's on his hip. But if Romeo is there, I think Jordan throws the football because he trusts Romeo because they've had the longest relationship.
Yeah,
I just wish Jordan. I wish Jordan would trust guys like, and it seems like he does trust Christian because he's thrown a couple up to him. But I just wish he would trust more. For somebody like Matthew Golden. Obviously he had some trust in Savion Williams throwing one up to him. I just wish he had more of that trust in some of the other guys than he does with Romeo, because
is it a trust thing? Is it an opportunity thing, right? Is it just going through his reads and there's not a ton of number one looks for Matthew Golden, right? I don't know, right? Because it feels like...
But I don't think it's just a Matt LaFleur thing.
No,
I've been critical of LaFleur for a lot of different things. I think there's a Jordan Love element of, hey...
He's the one throwing the football.
Throw the football to him when he is that number one read, because, again, there are times when it seems like he's there and he seems hesitant to throw the football for whatever reason.
It feels like we're in a similar but also very different spot from 2022, was it, with Rodgers when Alan Lazard was the number one receiver? It's like, okay, dude, throw it to somebody other than Alan Lazard. He's not very good.
Yeah.
Now,
but the problem was...
nobody else was either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian Watson was growing
but the difference
at that time.
The difference here is, I think we have, if we look at the Packers roster, I think you and I would agree, the Packers have several wide receivers where you go, okay, I could trust him in a spot, right? Like that Savion Williams play last week on third down. Not only was it a spectacular play by Jordan Love, it was a great adjustment and great catch by Savion Williams. And that was really the first big spot we've seen him in that wasn't a design dump off or, okay, you're getting the ball at the line of scrimmage, now go do something with it. It was the first opportunity where it's downfield. Savion Williams has to make an adjustment and make a play on the football. And that's a good sign. But is that a guy, a third-round pick rookie, that you're going to consistently trust in?
No, he only played 2 snaps. That was one of 2 snaps that he played on offense.
That's what I'm saying. I know
he's still in a walking boot.
Yeah, I was going to say he's dealing with that injury, so he's not on the field a ton right now.
He's playing without the walking boot and then slapping that sucker right back on and going out.
Slapping that sucker right back on.
Don't see that often.
No, you do not. Now, real quick, I know we got to get to a break, but I mean, obviously, the take that you just talked about with Jason between you and Joshy has gotten more run this week on Josh Jacobs. But I think the thing that Josh has said this week that I agree with the most is something he said on Monday, and that is simply, I'm over Romeo Doubs. I like Romeo Doubs. I think he has a spot on this team and he has a spot on the field, but I don't think it's as the number one read. I don't think it's as the number one receiver.
Josh, how long have we been having that conversation?
I feel like I've been screaming this from the rooftops now for the better part of 2 years.
Well, you weren't at a rooftop near me, apparently, because I missed this.
Josh and I have had this different conversation about Romeo Doubs.
In order, once Reed returns, in my opinion, for the rest of this season, as far as I'm aware, when it goes to opportunity, snap count, and targets, it should go in this order. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, and list. And then obviously that's maybe for Romeo Doubs.
Look, I agree with you. I'm curious to see what happens with Jayden, just because, as we talked about coming into the season, they have only used him pretty exclusively as a slot receiver. And that affects his snap count when they don't line him up on the outside.
Let's do truth serum here, because I think we probably, all three of us, agree the hierarchy he just said, Strouf, is probably the right one we think would probably work. You could probably interchange Golden and Reed based on like
in terms of snap counts, whatever.
I won't throw too big of a fit.
Right. Flip flop them.
But those should be in some order. Those should be your top 3.
Yes. Now let's truth serum. What will the order actually be when they come back?
Romeo
Doubs.
Jayden, Christian.
Mm-hmm. That's sort of what I think.
Yeah.
Because I think Jaden's almost certainly going to, if he's healthy enough and his snap count's able to get up there, they want to keep that short stuff, and he's their yak guy now that there's no Tucker Craft.
Where does Malik Heath fit in?
He obviously doesn't.
Yeah, that seems
well, no,
to be abundantly
is
clear.
Josh Jacobs healthy? Yes or no? Is actually the follow-up question there.
I mean, Josh Jacobs will be healthy, but Malik Heath ain't playing.
What they want to use him for his blocking ability?
From time to time, but not going to be that much.
I really want to know what he did, Malik Heath, to not travel with the team. I just really want to know. It's like the Romeo Doubs thing all over again. Now, it's actually not at all.
And we got to the bottom of the Romeo Doubs thing.
And I don't know that we'll ever get to the bottom of the Malik Heath thing, which is what's so strange about it.
Yeah, that nobody's saying anything about it.
Right, like at least in Dallas, right? CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens don't play the first series. Okay, they were at the casino too late. There's your answer. I want an answer. Is that too much to ask for? I just want answers, Gabe.
Hey, look, I wish I could give you one. I wish I could.
Hey guys, it's Jen from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Thanks for watching our clip. I'm sure it was super informative and educational. I'm just kidding. I love those knuckleheads. And we do it live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get informed anytime we drop new content.